Let's just. So we should be live now. So good evening.
Welcome,
Hello,
everybody.
everyone. Yeah, welcome to. This is our 45th show.
45th,
online.
really?
Yeah, 45th show online. And
how does that happen?
I don't know, man. It's been quite crazy. No? It's been quite crazy.
I feel like
It's
we
nice.
need to buy like some kind of influencer house together now.
Get more.
Oh
get more
wait, this is
followers.
weird. So people are watching us, but we can't see who's watching us.
No, we can't see. We
Yeah.
can see on if you go
Oh,
on the
there's a
link,
chat room. There's a chat
there is
room
a
on
chat
there
room, so they come
on
back.
YouTube.
Yeah. So today,
shit.
for the 45th show, we have quite a special guest. You may know or you may not, but we have Rob CHiu here. Rob is quite a legend back in the time. I used to do a lot of motion graphic and transition for live action, so it's really nice to get him on the show. But before
He's still a legend.
He's still a legend. Yeah. It's still going and really strong.
You're
So we're
embarrassing
gonna. So before we introduce Rob properly, I'm gonna play one film from Rob from really old time. This is 2007 opening title for Off New York. Yeah, you guys just know Off as Barcelona probably if you're too young, but Off used to go around the world, Paris and other place. Rob did a talking of 2007 just for you understand how back in history we're going. But let me play that quickly and we come back introduce him. Let me just share this before. Well, look like sure. Let's see it with sound. Cool. Let me know if you guys can see this.
Yep. Oh, good. It's making me all nostalgic.
Yeah. Well, that's bring memory back. I think if I'm not wrong, that was on Computer Arts as well, no? I think that title was on Computer Arts. I may have that Computer Arts at home.
Oh, in the mag, maybe.
I think maybe you ran a tutorial on that, something like that. But it's really nice to bring back because that is 16 years ago, and
yeah, that's nuts.
you're already using like glitches, and we just spoke before, but that is
We
all
were just
coming.
saying, gonna
Everyone
make a
is using
comeback in the
glitch.
glitch world.
Yeah, so it's so we have Rob today. If you know or not, Rob, you've been running for how long, Rob? It's been like at least 20 years.
Yeah, in motion graphics from since 2000.
2000, yes.
And then
23 years.
yeah, that's crazy.
That's crazy, yeah. So Rob, I think no one better than yourself to introduce you. Just tell us a little bit what you do, what you've been working on, just so people understand.
What I'm up to now. So I began as a graphic designer for print. So I trained as a graphic designer. I did a degree in graphic design. And then while I was doing my degree, I taught myself After Effects when it was on like After Effects 3, I think. And I had like remember Mac clones? It wasn't a real Mac. They licensed out.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that? I had a Mac clone which I took home from work, and I basically used it. I was working at the same time as I was doing my degree. I did a part-time degree. I was working in a design agency, and so I took home one of their old Mac clones and taught myself After Effects, and basically submitted a motion piece for my final piece of work on the degree, which got me a first class. Actually, I was really happy with that. And then I used that piece of work to bring other work in. So I started working for like local councils and stuff, and making like little videos for them. And then I tried to weave storytelling into it, and I made a couple of little documentaries for local councils, which I got into some film festivals. And then they were more live action based, but with kind of graphics over them and treated very heavily. And the first piece I did at uni was very much like a Kyle Cooper 7 title sequence type of thing. It was a mix of live action and like photographs and loads of textures and typography. So I've always been very mixed media, and I've always wanted to tell stories. Even when I was doing graphic design, and I was kind of influenced by, as we were saying earlier, the Designers Republic, or remember Attic. I used to be a big fan of those guys.
I was going to mention Attic because they were based in Huddersfield as well, weren't they?
Yeah, yes. When I used to live in Huddersfield, so I actually applied to work there like 2 or 3 times. I never got in. But I
James
really wanted to
Somerville.
get in. James Somerville. Yeah,
that was it.
So I always wanted. So I did those kind of. You remember that type of work? It's like multi-layered Photoshop documents, and you could kind of put little subliminal messages in there, and it wasn't really graphic design as in the corporate graphic design. It was very much an expression of how you felt. It was for me when I was making all that sort of stuff, and I used it. So that was what influenced my After Effects work, because I knew how to use Photoshop so much. After Effects was basically the same as Photoshop for me at the time, but with a timeline. So I started messing about, and that's how I got into it. And then after I was making these kind of documentaries and mixing it with graphics and stuff, I took on a project from the University of Huddersfield, and they wanted me to. They were running courses for refugees from like Iraq and Afghanistan at the time. This is the early 2000s or mid 2000s. And they wanted me to film them on these courses and talk to them. But a lot of them didn't want to be filmed because of their religion. And also just filming people on computers is really boring. So I came up with this idea of like, let's talk to these guys and find out why they are refugees. Why have they had to run away from home? So I kind of interviewed them all and wrote down, or I had them write poems and stuff. And they wrote down all this stuff and gave it to me. And I kind of turned it all into this animation, which I made a film called Black Data Freedom, which is kind of all made in After Effects. It's like a 2.5D thing. So I did that, and I put a book together which came with it and released that the University of Huddersfield, and did a talk on it at the ICA with, do you remember BD4D, by designers for designers?
Yeah, 2 Ryans.
The 2 Ryans, yeah. I did it with those guys. And then that kind of didn't go viral because there was no kind of viral things those days, but it kind of got me going. And then that led on to me meeting think just before that, I met Chris Hewitt, and then we started working together. And we made a little boy band called Devoid of Yesterday, and then that's how we did the off titles, and we did a couple of off titles, and we did a couple of things for IDN, and we did a personal short film called Things Fall Apart, which was our first kind of real steer into narrative storytelling, which is we did it all with. I took loads of photographs and then we put them all into After Effects and animated them. And that's when Chris was working at Wild Stallions. Remember those guys?
Wow.
Yeah, we shared a studio space
That's
when
right,
you guys were making that. Because you got pictures of your kids in that, from what I remember.
Yeah. That's my eldest son in that.
Yeah, Chris normally comes down to the live Sinoiva, so you're probably gonna see him in December.
Sure.
Chris from Wild Stallions.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Chris Sayer. I thought you meant Chris Hewitt.
Yeah.
Chris Sayer.
He's stateside.
Chris is in the States, yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen him for ages either.
We're due like an international catch-up, really, aren't we? We need an
Cheers.
event.
And then off the back of that, off the back of all that stuff that me and Chris were doing, around the same time, I moved to London, and then I got picked up by a commercial company called Stink, and they do all these really big commercials. And I didn't really have a clue about commercials. I hadn't thought about commercials. I had never even really watched any commercials. So I got thrown in at the deep end, and I was asked to make a treatment and, pitch these ideas. And I had no idea what a treatment was or how to do anything. So I found it really hard to begin with. But, so that was my first kind of dip into commercials. And it took me a while to get going. And I was still kind of doing self-shot projects that I would be putting motion graphics onto and all the rest of it. So I was kind of doing that at the same time as trying to transition into being a live action director. But this is back in 2008, 2009. But since then, I've been working a lot in commercials. And then recently, I've started writing. I'm writing a feature film at the moment, and I'm going into pre-production on a short film that I've written. So I'm kind of today I've spent all day writing.
So carry on.
Changed a lot. So I was just saying things have changed so much from hammering out keyframes to sitting there and writing. Totally different. Yeah.
When did you transition fully to live action, mate?
I think January or February 2010, I won a Cartier commercial, and that was fully passion. And just before I did that, I did a motion graphics project for a phone company called Else, which I did with Hybrid. Remember Hybrid from LA?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They used to do a lot of websites and stuff, and really cool guys. But I did a film for them, which was like motion graphics and live action. But then that was the last thing I did. And in 2010, the first project I did was this Cartier, which was full live action. And since then, it's been full live action.
Full live action.
I mean, I do stuff which has lots of animations in it, but not like a motion graphics kind of way. So it was really, I was just yanked out of it. But I was on a podcast with Philippe the other day, and we were talking about it, and he I've lost my train of thought now. What was I saying?
About animation and kind of you obviously do more live action now, but you incorporate some elements of animation within your work.
Yeah, I've totally gone.
That's all right.
So anyway, I basically just stopped. That's right. I was going to say I was talking to him about it, and I've never thought of myself as a good animator. I had no idea. I was fudging my way around with After Effects. I was not an expert. I'd never knew expressions, which is where it gets really interesting. I was scared of expressions. I didn't even open it up, and then when my After Effects files are so basic, like super basic. So I could just kind of get my way through.
But it's interesting because your refugee project was like one of the first kind of like 2.5D big After Effects projects. Because before that, it was there, but not really used at that scale.
And I think also we can see, like the sign like the film vision you have with the camera on that project as well. It was because I think before, like what James is saying as well, is people used to do cameras, but it's like really like kind of more linear, not like kind of handhold cameras. You know, your
this was treated like a set.
Yeah, you
treat it like a film set.
A film set properly, you know. And
I mean, yeah, I think I was basically a frustrated filmmaker that didn't have the tools and didn't have the knowledge of how to film something. So I just tried to do it myself. It was the same with Things Fall Apart, where people thought that we had made that on film or something. It was actual film, but it was just photographs cut out and put into different layers and you know, cheated. The Black Day of Freedom thing came after I did a trailer for a film festival, a Leeds film festival, and I made a trailer which was like all these different places in Leeds, which my brother did all these drawings and I'd made them into 3D, 2.5D After Effects, and I cast this like huge shadow of the logo of all the buildings, so it was like the Leeds Film Festival taking over Leeds, all these places.
I feel I need to play that on the background as we talk.
Have you got that?
I've got here on the Vimeo you sent me earlier.
Black Day, yeah. And then
I'm gonna play.
So I learned how to do this. I learned how to this technique from a book by Angie Taylor. She wrote a kind of how to do After Effects book, right. And she kind of talked about creating boxes and then putting a light somewhere. It was really basic. I just took it to another level and used it as a tool for storytelling. I mean, I'm looking at this now, and I even put like film grain on it just to make it feel more filmy.
It still looks really good, man.
Yeah.
The thing is, right, all these buildings were such high res. They were like 2,000 by 3,000 pixels. And then I had multiple buildings, and I never used I could have used something which was really small or a proxy to get it, you know, it would take forever to render anything. Like there's a scene in here where there's some helicopters flying down, and all those buildings are actual full res buildings. You just don't, they're so far away, you don't see them. So that's what I mean. My level of After Effects was terrible. I spent 3 months making this thing.
That's a learning curve, though. Like, there's no way. Like when you're learning to make this stuff, you wouldn't really know about proxies unless someone shows you that thing. But
I don't even think people know why it's proxying After Effects nowadays. You know,
you probably don't need it anymore.
It's the lighting that kills. Yeah, it's the lighting that kills it, though. Like that's what kills your renders. But it'd be interesting if you load up your After Effects in like a modern computer and just to see how what the render time difference is.
Yeah, I should do that actually.
Yeah.
This was made in like After Effects 5 or something. 2004, 2005 this was.
Because what I think was the beginning of the 2.5D, no?
Yeah, it is. It was introduced.
Because I really remember that film was like, fuck, how he did that, you know? And it was like, the camera was.
Yes, I've never known any 3D programs, like none.
I think the problem is
you can't do curves.
No,
you can't do curves. And I remember when I did the Leeds Film Festival, and the Leeds City Hall was in it, and I think at the top of that building there's a dome. And he was like, "Why doesn't it look like a dome?" And I was like, "I can't do curves." So basically, in the end, I just tilted the camera down and cropped it out entirely.
I remember when you released this, it didn't at the time. It didn't look like After Effects, does it? I mean, obviously you can tell now, but like back then, it doesn't look like what you'd see as a normal After Effects project.
No. After Effects was used more. Well, no, I don't know. There was some good stuff by Simon Robson at the time. He was making some kind of political anti-war films.
Yeah, Simon did quite a lot as well.
Yeah, there was, and the whole 1.0 movement had a lot of stuff that was kind of similar, I think, around the same sort of time. I wouldn't claim that I was the first person, but it was very early days.
Yeah, it was really early days. Yeah, it's still really fresh, you know. It's crazy to see. How old is this film? 10, 12 years?
18.
18?
Old enough to drink.
Yeah.
So, you know, it is crazy. You just imagine that, you know. It's like
the Ronin.
The Ronin. Yeah. That's how you used to call.
Yeah. Well, I was wondering about that actually. Like going back to your upbringing. Do your parents live over Huddersfield Way?
No, I'm from a place called Chippenham in Wiltshire.
Oh, Chippenham. Shit, I didn't even know that.
So I'm from that neck of the woods.
I was just assumed you're from Yorkshire.
No,
All right, we're gonna have to cut this interview off.
We're from farmerlands.
Yeah, I was wondering, like, with your upbringing and heritage, do you feel like what do you feel like that has an effect on your creative and all that kind of side of things?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, at the moment it does very much because I'm writing a film. The film that I'm working on is basically about my life growing up as a kid, being mixed race and kind of being caught between two worlds. That's kind of the themes that I'm exploring at the moment in my film. So at the moment, yes, very much. But I think throughout my entire career, I wouldn't say it's necessarily guided me. I think I've always just made stuff rather than
Not necessarily guide, but you can incorporate bits or what have you into like ideas and that kind of side of things.
like maybe. I mean, definitely when I kind of took on this name as the Ronin, which is not, I mean, I'm half Chinese and that's a Japanese name, but it was the whole. I would really, kind of lean into that samurai kind of thing at one point, and especially my graphics work.
Well, it kind of suits it, doesn't it? Because you kind of go at things by yourself, doesn't it? You kind of your own thing. That makes sense.
Well, that was the whole thing because when I basically came up with that name because I was working like 18, 20 hours a day at this design agency, and I was just thinking, why the hell am I not doing this for myself?
Yeah,
which is why I took on the name of the Ronin, which is a samurai with no master. The Ronin.
It's funny that era. I guess we all come up with silly names to represent ourselves, don't we? I think it's kind of the I guess the start of the internet generation, where it's like, we'll have this handle, it's fine. When you look back at your first Hotmail email address, like
yeah. My first email address was the Ronin at Xmail. It wasn't even Hotmail, it was xmail.com.
That's not bad though.
and then what Mutant Hands?
Yeah, I still use it, and I probably shouldn't.
Do you?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, if I can't be asked to change it.
I have a Gera. I used to use Gera because they used to call me that in Brazil. No, I met you before that.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, we did. We met you freelance Square.
I used to be freelance. Yeah. I didn't have a company or anything. So I met you. Fuck. I must met you at least 17 years ago.
Yeah.
So, the studio cake start on 2014. So it's been was just before that. So I must met you before that time.
Yeah, long time before that.
Yeah. So I used to be freelance. So it's just bring back memories, Yeah, because it's really funny because me and Rob met like about 2 months ago, and on G-Monk exhibition by mistake, and was so
G-Monk's,
weird.
What was that place? W1 below. It was below
W1. I think it's W1 on the Oxford Street.
W1 Curates. That's it.
Is that the big screen next to the tube station?
Yeah, they have. No, that's the alternate. That's the one.
Okay.
Motion.
They have on No.
Yeah, they have on Oxford Street. They have this W1. It's basically a shop. They have all this screen outside, but they have a gallery downstairs. So they do exhibitions. Cool. Yeah, it's quite nice. And G-Monk had the exhibition there.
We should get a connection from G-Monk and put a Sino Evil thing on there. Just saying.
Sino Evil there. Yeah.
But
it's wicked space.
Going back to your transition, was it like a conscious thing to go from like animation design into live action? Was that always like the overarching picture?
I think that was always my goal, that I just wanted to tell stories and make films. Like I was saying, even when I was making all this After Effects stuff, I was wishing it was film. I was always trying to make something that I couldn't afford to do. Like, if you a musician and you've got like a Hans Zimmer sound patch and you want to make an orchestra, but you want to be working with an orchestra. And I really want to be working with a film crew and telling stories, I guess, cool. Since the start. And also, I never thought myself as good in After Effects. I always thought of myself as I had massive imposter syndrome.
I think everyone still does.
I think everyone still does, man.
Still fudging it. So I remember I worked at Digital Kitchen for a little while in New York, and I was actually supposed to move there and work there at one point. And I remember they give me projects to work on, and I just felt like, why? I don't know what the hell I'm doing. They'd be saying to make like animations and stuff, and I can't just make animations. I can only kind of make the stuff that I want to make, because I was never trained or anything in it. I just kind of taught myself, so I only knew how to do what I could do. So I found it really hard. And I had the same kind of thing. I worked with Prologue, Carl Cooper's company. I used to freelance for him, and it was the same sort of thing. I'd get these briefs, and it'd be like, shit, I don't even know where to begin how to make that.
Did you manage to deliver? Did you manage to get the work done?
I got it done, but it just would take me longer.
Yeah,
I guess I didn't get so much work.
I think that's something really happens. I think our generation, we used to get the job without knowing what was the job, and just I need to run and get tutorials, and didn't exist tutorials in that time, and learn on the job.
You couldn't get a tutorial then. Now you just put YouTube on and you can really do anything.
Yeah, you can do anything nowadays. Yeah, it's crazy.
I was going to ask, did you think animation helped your skill set for the transition? But I think you've already answered that with a no.
No, I think the skills that I brought all of my skills from learning what I did in After Effects and graphic design and photography and composition, because we filmed all that stuff for the Off New York thing, and all the stuff we did, we filmed ourselves. So I brought all that with me, and a lot, people look at my work and they say you can tell that I was a graphic designer because of the way it's so clean, and it's kind of the compositions and stuff, and the way I kind of move the camera around. So it did give me a good foundation for moving into this film, for sure.
Yeah, I guess definitely on the aesthetic side, like obviously you can see your like photography eye come through, and even the grading as well. You're very consistent in terms of framing and colors used and that kind of side of things. Nice way, yeah.
Because I can do all that stuff myself as well. I mean, I edited the Off New York thing myself. So when I used to color grade stuff as well for I color graded for, is it Philip Bloom, that big DSLR guy from like early 2000s? He was huge, and I color graded a piece for him for Greenpeace. So I was really into all that stuff. So when I started working in commercials, it was really hard for me to let go of the editing stage and to let go of color grading and let somebody else do it and bring their thoughts to things. I really struggled with it. The one thing that I've not been able to let go of is working with Ben. I still work with Ben.
I was going to say, you can still hear his audio through quite a lot of your pieces.
Yeah.
But yeah,
great.
Do you think, like you said, like animation and design gave you a really amazing foundation, do you think the way you see as well? Because one thing I see when, like I do filming a little bit, but it's just like how we understand the camera movements and things in the other way because of the animation process we used to have before, how we plan and things like that. It's kind of automatic in the brain, Do you think that helps you a lot, like when you're shooting, knowing what you want, and like all the pre-production, like it helps you a lot on the pre-production stage of your films?
Yeah, no, for sure. Like what usually happens with a commercial, you'll win the job and then you'll do storyboards before you've even got location. So you start creating frames, not style frames, but just like really rough drawings, just to kind of work out what the story is and how it works and how it all comes together. And then when you go on location, then you find something that's totally different, and then you have to kind of re-engineer it. But you use all those, you bring all those tools from when you had it in After Effects, and you could just move the camera where you want, and so all that skill set is exactly the same. Was that your question? Sorry if I've gone away.
Yeah. Do you still go ahead?
Sorry, after you, Thiago.
Do you still you know, put a lot hands-on, you know, like on the storyboard and parts of that on like SketchUp?
No. Usually I work with a storyboard artist who we just do it over Zoom, and he just draws for me live because he's like really good at that sort of stuff. I'm not really good at drawing, to be honest, but I'm very. A lot of the time, I know what I want, and I know where what the angle wants to be, or whether we're close up, or whether we're wide, or whether it's, you know, we're doing something else. So I know what I want before I go in there most of the time.
When it comes to like your storyboard and pre-production and then actually filming, like how close is it to your storyboards, to your vision is the final result? Because half the time, you know, I'll do all the pre-production and then the finished product, it'll have a resemblance, but it'll be slightly different just through, you know, how things turn out.
It depends what the project is. Sometimes if the project is like a film that's what I would say is set on rails, where you have to go from A to B and then you have to transition into C in a certain way and then transition into D, then your storyboard is pretty much your roadmap and you have to kind of follow it to make sense of it. But when it's like a film that's more fluid and you know, it's more organic, I feel like your storyboard is a good backup plan. Because when I get onto the set, I don't want to shoot that storyboard because I have my cinematographer, DOP, director of photography, cameraman has not designed those storyboards. It's a storyboard artist. So we can imagine, you know, pull ideas out of the air. Whereas you get into reality and the physical reality of how a camera what it can do, it changes. So, and I like to have DOP's input and him to give me totally new ideas so that I can forget about the storyboard. The storyboard almost exists at that point as a skeleton of what we're going to shoot, but you're going to get so much more is how I usually explain it. Because
everyone's going to have a creative input as well.
Yeah. And then if you work with, you know, I try and surround myself with as good the most amazing people I can so that it pushes the work to another level. I mean, that's how you make good work, just by surrounding yourself with loads of great people.
I was going to say, do you normally work with, you know, with the same crew?
I wouldn't say the same crew because with commercials, you travel a lot. So I could be in South Africa working for something and I can't bring anybody with me, but I can bring a producer and I can bring a DOP and or I've worked with, you know, I've got like 5 or 6 DOPs that I probably work with quite regularly. And then I've got maybe 2 or 3 editors that I work with regularly. And then maybe 2 or 3 musicians so that I can keep control of things and kind of keep them in the same thing. But I also like to just try somebody totally new sometimes and see what happens. I'm very open to that.
Caution to the wind.
Yeah, because otherwise you get kind of trapped in a cycle of just doing the same thing and everything becomes the same thing. And I've even noticed that even sometimes when I do try and change things up, I still manage to make it the same thing.
I say
so I'm almost having to fight with myself.
That's kind of, in some ways, it's kind of a good thing because there needs to be some line of consistency. You know, when, you know, someone's commissioning you for something, they want to know not exactly what to expect, but there's some element which is the reason why they commissioned you. You know, there's some strings to follow. But I was just thinking about the writing side. Like, how did you get into the writing side? Because it's one of those things that I've always wanted to do or learn more about. I mean, did you like take like courses on writing or read any books about it, or did you just dive straight in?
I just did it. I literally just did it. I bought Final Draft, which is like a screenwriting software, and I just started using it. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. It lays it out for you, so it looks like a script, and you've done one page. It already looks like a script, so it kind of inspires you.
I'm so pro.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you haven't got to format it, which is the big thing. All the formatting is really quite hardcore and quite strict. But I just did it, and it's hard. It is hard. I mean, you can sit there for days looking at a page and can't get anything out of you. And other days it will just flow. It will just come out, and then you want to go back to it and keep going. Like today, I've had a really good day. I was like, it's just coming out of me. But it's taken me 3 days, of doing nothing to get to that one day of getting something out of me.
It's kind of a similar process, no? Than be creative, be design.
It's hard to force creativity.
It is.
I guess this is why you talk about.
But it's easy to make pictures, right? It's easy just to make pictures and get references, and like you can just go online and find references. With writing, it
needs to come from your imagination.
Yeah, because you can read other people's scripts, but you have to feel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's true. I never
It's
thought
harder
this
to get
way.
the inspiration, at least for me, because I don't know where to look for the inspiration, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a big reader. Like, I'm very, very visual. And my first problem with writing a script was that I'm thinking too visually still. You have to totally. The way that I ended up writing the script is I've written this script, and I don't even know how it's going to look. I haven't really thought about it too much. I just wrote what I felt.
Do you think that because the way you do be more visually, do you think that blocks the way you write? You know, because sometimes if you can't visualize, it's hard for you to write there.
Or you must get caught in an idea, and then obviously it narrows your field of vision. Something like
At first, I was writing things very visually, and I was restricting myself visually, which messes it up, because you have to kind of throw that away to write properly. So I've managed to get away from it, but sometimes I find that when I'm stuck on something, I'll end up diving back into writing things visually, and that's when I realize I haven't really got an idea. When I'm trying to hide the fact that I haven't got an idea of something visual. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because I think it's the same when you like animation or you pitching an idea. If you don't know how to make that, you limit yourself on the idea. I think that the writing may affect in the same way. If you have like you start developing then, but you suddenly limitate yourself, like how are you gonna do that? You know, and I think that's the key about, you know, being created. Then you can just go for it, especially if you're filming or directing animation. Doesn't matter how you're gonna do it, you know, you can always find someone that can do that for you, you know. But it's the idea is that break the limitation of the idea. I think sometimes we just block ourselves.
Yeah, I used to feel that so badly. Like when I was working at Digital Kitchen, and I would, you know, be trying to animate stuff, and or they would say, "What do you think? How else could you do it?" And I couldn't think beyond my limitations.
Yeah.
I'd get stuck. Even though I know you can do anything crazy, somebody else can make something totally crazy, I couldn't think about it because I could only think of my limitations. And it's really, really frustrating, actually.
And you don't have the same relation nowadays with the writing?
So I do, because I don't have the command of the power of English as good as I should have, you know. I wish I could be able just to write how I feel or what I'm thinking in really beautiful prose, but I find it really, that's what I struggle with, is my command of the English language. I think that's the biggest thing.
I think that's like most creatives. I mean, one of the reasons why we get into the visual side is because we can't normally, sorry, not everybody, I don't want to use a broad stroke, but it's difficult to express through writing what you can do visually in some ways.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it's just
especially when you're used to doing it visually.
Yeah. I mean, it's also like, I can't remember the statistical percentages, but like a massive percentage of compared to other industries of the creative industry, are dyslexic as well. So it kind of feeds into that analogy. Is which, I mean, is
having
writing
another beer because I know it's See No Evil beers.
It's a drinks with you, you know. If we can't have a drink, it's no reason.
I mean, alcohol always helps writing, doesn't it? Right? So I'm not sure is the writing side of things, is that, I mean, is that your favorite part of the, you know, coming up with like a solution, or obviously your films and what have you? Is the writing aspect what you enjoy the most at the moment?
At the moment, yes, because that's all I'm doing. So I'm literally not thinking about how it looks at the moment. I'm starting to think about how it looks at the moment, but for the past 2 years, I've just been writing. So it's been hard. It has been hard. There's a lot of barriers I've had to push through, and you know, to get there. It's very easy to give up and just go back to what you know. But I really want to make this film, so.
I saw a really dodgy meme the other day. It's kind of, if it was easy, it would be called Your Mum.
Can't say that these days, dude.
No, we're gonna beep it. But yeah, but I think the point is that, you know, if it was easy, then what's the point in doing it if it's not a challenge? You know, you got to push yourself and evolve, and you know that's what makes things interesting, and it takes you to to the next level.
Yeah, hopefully that's
it will. It will.
Rob, let me ask you something, because I think it's a lot of people on the industry feel like the same you used to feel. You know, I think there is a lot of people join animation but really want to be a filmmaker and everything. What do you suggest, and what is the tips you'd give to these people, like to transition between animation to live action? I have quite a few. I don't know if it's something from our time, but I have quite a lot of friends from our generation that transition from animation to live action. But I think it's still happening quite a lot nowadays.
I think you just have to, I mean, it's not even just for motion designers that want to be directors. I think it's for anybody. You just have to you have to try and tell the stories you want to tell yourself with no crew. Because the thing about making films is you need so many people around you to make stuff happen. Yeah. It's so different from just sitting in front of your computer and being able to make some cool stuff and put it out there. You have to have this whole crew of people, and you need money, unfortunately, to do that. So it becomes really tricky. But I think the tools have advanced so far now that you can take even like a GoPro. I saw something on Instagram the other day where a guy had a GoPro on a drone and he flew it from far away to this car, and then he caught it as it came down. Then he kind of went handheld with it, and then he ended up putting it onto like a fixed tripod type thing on the car, and the car drove away. So it was all in one shot. So you can do things really, cleverly now. So I think you just have to make stuff. And I think also is not worry about it looking as high end as some of the stuff is that you can do. When you're making commercials, you have so much money. Sometimes you can just have crazy things. Like we shoot cars with this thing called what it used to be called the Russian arm. They call it the Ukraine now, but it's basically like a Mercedes or a Porsche 4x4 with a huge crane on with a camera, and it's got crazy stabilization system. You can be caning it in the desert like this, and the camera's still just steady on what it's shooting. And I think you don't have to worry about those things when you're making your own personal stuff and you're just trying to get your name out there. You can just do it as with the tools you have, which is almost more interesting than having the tools. I think when you have the tools,
it's never been more accessible. Like it's never been more accessible than now. I mean, like you're saying with the GoPro, or you can shoot something on an iPhone or whatever, but it's the idea that counts,
It's definitely the idea. And it's what you want to say. It's your voice. It's that's what's unique to you, is what you have to say as what is your story? What do you want to say? That's what's the most important thing about it all. Not really sometimes it can be the technique, but a lot of the time
if you're focused on technique, then that might pigeonhole you into like more of a different side of things. If you want to be a director, then focus on the story. If you want to be technique, then it would be more,
I think so,
post or whatever side. But don't get me wrong, it's equally as valid.
I think so, because I think even when I look back at some of my early work, even the very first thing I ever made, which is the film I made when I was at university, tonally and the ideas that I'm expressing are the same as what I'm writing about now, 23 years later, as writing a script. So my voice has stayed the same, I feel.
That's nice.
So they do say that like directors only have one story in them, and they're just retelling it in different ways. That's me. Cheap date.
What do you think? Because I think like not just film but animation is changing so much in the last year. I don't know, you don't have your son is quite old now compared when you used to shoot him, back on that. But like I have a 7-year-old daughter, but I'm seeing what they're watching nowadays. All this like young generation, they consume like such a bad quality things. We're being drawing like 4K, 5K, like really good film stuff, but the new generation is just like want to watch like really shit stuff.
They all watch that YouTube stuff, don't they? Where it's like somebody's dad's made a load of videos.
It's all like really shit quality. So where do you think we're going with, like film-wise? Do you worry about, because commercial?
No, I think all that kind of content is going to become so good at some point. It's just going to get better and better because everybody's making films now, aren't they? And putting it onto YouTube.
Yeah.
I mean, how long we got before the first like portrait full feature film?
Oh, I don't know if that's ever gonna. I mean, that would happen. That would be a gimmick, though. Nobody wants to watch a film on a phone. I don't. Well, people do. I know people do.
People do.
Yeah, people do.
They're so lazy. Instagram killed everything, man. Seriously.
Yeah. TikTok's
attention span, even
worse.
like a long attention span's like what, like 10, 15 seconds now.
Yeah, it's nuts. I think it's 6 seconds now.
Oh,
Because we do cut downs of all the. So we make these, these big commercials, 60 seconds, 90 seconds, 120 seconds sometimes. And they always get cut down to 6 seconds.
It's just an end tag.
Literally.
Yeah.
But I mean, talking about modern films and animation, have you seen that new Spider-Man?
Into the Spider-Verse.
I didn't watch yet. Yeah.
Yes.
The one? Yeah, it's stunning, man. It won an Oscar for animation. The first one won an Oscar for animation. Was it last year, the year before? Amazing.
Oh, 2018. The second one's even better, though. It's like, oh my God. Have you seen the second one?
No, I've not seen the second one. I feel like I'll be depressed.
So good. So good. The amount of love that's gone into that. I would actually love to work on something like that.
That'd be amazing, wouldn't it? Like, I know, it's just so, I don't know.
It's so good, man.
But it's interesting how they got their animation style out. Sorry, the animation style is very unique to that film. It's not your usual Disney, not your usual Pixar. Yeah. And I like that an animation studio got to take a risk. That's quite unusual in this day and age. Yeah. But it paid off big time,
doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because you even get like the print dots everywhere and stuff. But the new one, every time you go to it's about all these different characters and different dimensions. Every time you go to a different dimension, it's a totally different animation style. It's so good, man.
It's crazy.
Yeah. My daughter's just getting in. Well, she loves like Marvel and Spider-Man, but unfortunately she's a little bit too young to watch it. But she's 4 now, so give her maybe next year we'll start watching Spider-Man together. I think that'd be pretty cool. But she does watch the original Batman animated series from like 92 or whatever it was. Had a great style to it. He loves that, so I'm quite happy about.
Wow. Yeah, I think it's changing so fast nowadays. If we watch animation, even film, it's through the years, especially the last 3-5 years.
Even simple things like release dates. Like, do you remember when you were a kid and it used to come out? The film used to come out in America about a year before it came out in the UK, and then it came out on VHS about a year and a half before it came out in the UK. It was crazy.
Yeah,
it's all simultaneous now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all the same. But I was just thinking, what do your kids think you do for a living? Like, are they into their animation side and the creativity side? Is that in the genes?
Yeah, I mean, they've been on sets with me on proper shoots, so they know what I've had them on as runners and stuff. So they really
saving that budget.
Yeah, I mean, and then the big one who was in Things Fall Apart, he had a Nintendo DS and he would use it as a video camera and make stop frame animation with his Legos.
Oh, it's amazing.
Really interesting to watch. And then the big one.
How old they are now?
21 and 16.
Wow.
So the kid from Things Fall Apart is 21 now, and he was like 5.
Wow, yeah, he was really little on the film.
Yeah,
nice.
They're actually both. I did a motion project with a company called Neon probably about 10 years ago, for a conference called Collider, and they were both in that as well.
Oh, really?
Both of them, yeah. Do you remember Neon?
It rings a bell, yeah.
No, I don't think Collider.
But did they ever see? I mean, obviously they've seen their projects, but have they watched them like recently? Watched back and did they embrace them, or are they like, oh, Dad, that's so cringe?
No, I think they're proud of them. I think they're proud of them.
That's cool.
Luckily.
Yeah.
So do you think that, like, obviously he was making animations on his DS? Is that a route he wants to go down, like animation route, or is he, look at studying other things and it's just like a hobby?
Exploring all kinds of stuff. It was just like a hobby, I think. But I don't know. It's kind of, I guess it's in both of them. It's it's been forced on them by me. I had them watching E.T. and the original Superman, 1979 or 1978, whatever it is. I had them watch all that stuff, and they were really small.
I showed Superman literally last weekend to my daughter for the first time. Richard Donner, isn't it? But man, it's so good. I was quite surprised that she wasn't scared of a little bits of it. Like, when they get cast into the square and cast off into space. And I thought she'd be a bit worried about that, but she was all right. She was all right.
It probably all moves so slow compared to how films are cut now anyway. Haven't seen that for a long time. All seems really harmless now.
The only thing about Superman that kind of annoyed me a little bit is it's kind of like the ending is a little bit throwaway. It's like, you know what? I'll just rewind the world.
Yeah.
It's like, really? Okay. But you just that's my only small.
It was good at the time, though. It was good at the time.
Well, at the time, you didn't really think about it, did you? It's like, oh wow, he's doing it. He's changing time.
Yeah, the original Star Wars as well. They watched all that stuff when they were little.
That's another thing I need to get into. There was a Comic-Con here in Harrogate last weekend, so I took her along to that. Just so I said, Amber, we can go superhero spotting, and she loved it. Loads of Spider-Mans, loads of Supermans, and she got a picture taken with Darth Vader and 2 stormtroopers, and the look on her face is really funny because it's like super scared. She's like,
what? She's 4.
Yeah, she's 4. Yeah.
But it's crazy. Like the 4 nowadays is like similar, like 6, 8 years old in the past. They grow so fast nowadays.
Yeah.
I think I
like that you get
so much.
I like that you're getting your daughter into After Effects early.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm trying to get, she's doing Photoshop a little bit, but
my youngest son's got Adobe Creative Suite because he's at college at the moment, and he's been messing about. I mean, he's been editing in something else, but he basically does like he screen captures him playing Fortnite, and then he takes it and he chops it up to a track and like syncs it with the beat and chops it up and puts it online. So he's like big into editing, but he's just now getting into Premiere and messing about with After Effects as well. So it's only a matter of time.
Premiere's like the gateway drug into After Effects. You get frustrated with what Premiere can do.
And it's I just update. I've still got After Effects because I've got Creative Suite as well, but I've never really messed with it recently. But I updated it today, saying that it's got some kind of AI rotoscoping thing going on now.
I've not tried it, but yeah, apparently.
Well,
I can remember having to draw a path around things and then having to move that path as the thing moved.
Yeah,
it was.
You don't need any more, man. Any of the things I've been doing.
Even on your phone,
Runaway a lot.
Like even on your phone. Like I took a photo the other day, and after I took the photo, I accidentally clicked on the person and moved it by mistake. And it's like, oh shit! It auto cuts it out and moves stuff. What the fuck? What
you can make stickers. You can make stickers on the iPhone. It really is. But the AI is doing all this job nowadays. It's like.
How do you guys feel about AI? How do you feel about AI still working like fully in animation and stuff?
I feel like it's inevitable, to be honest. I think you kind of have to embrace it because the Pandora's box is open. You can't close it.
It's not whether you agree with
it or not. But I do feel like like laborious jobs like just like rotoscoping and like kind of low end commercial work or a lot of like low end animation work is just going to be taken to UI because that's where it makes sense. So I think it's going to be quite difficult for a lot of people to justify budgets and all that kind of side of things. I think that'll be the knock-on effect. A bit of devaluation, but then if you're a creative, you can't really I don't think you can do a UI algorithm for a proper creative at the moment, because you're thinking outside the box. When you connect dots, they're not logical dots, and that's what makes like a good creative.
Yeah,
that's my rationale.
Image-wise, we kind of there, but animation is still quite far away,
Have you been using Midjourney?
Yeah, we use Midjourney. We've been using a bit Runway and
Runway's nuts. Runway's it's moving really fast, isn't it? Because I messed with it maybe
really fast.
3 months ago, it was like glitchy, but now it still looks like AI.
It's still, but it's like what James said. You need to embrace, like, as a tool. I think it's there. I think to help even will help on the pitch. Like if you use Midjourney, you know, just to help throwing ideas and doing a brainstorm with that. I think
it's probably pretty good for live action pictures, because if you're putting together like a few kind of, you know, style frames as to how the shoot would look stylistically, then that's probably a good way, rather than just having like a mood board.
Yeah,
be a bit more accurate, maybe.
But it's like the last BBC job we did. We had a lot of footage. We did comp as well on the thing, and it was like 4x3 footage and everything. And we just use like AI to upscale that, you know, denoise, and just make the quality better, and that run away to roto that out, you know, without we need to do all that work. You know, that helps quite as a tool. I think helps quite a lot.
One thing I saw yesterday, like, I don't know what package it was, but it looked like it was within either a plugin or something for Illustrator, like an AI something for Illustrator. And this guy was basically drawing a sunflower just using vectors and splines on one side of the screen, and on the other side was basically a render window. And you know, it was like an AI render of what he'd drawn in Illustrator. So it was like a
it's Bodrum, my friend Dan talked to us. Yeah, it's the new one is coming. It's crazy.
It looked really cool, like a very painterly proper image on the right hand side.
Fuck, I took a picture of the.
I have to shout out my niece Tia, who's just messaged me saying she's watching, saying I'm so famous. Ha
ha. Yeah, you can send
shout out to Tia.
Yeah, but you know, like it's really nice. He was doing like a Lego car, no? So you can draw and the AI, but it's like a lot of people using with Blender. You know, there is a plugin with Blender. You can just like really go to prompt and do the 3D model. I think as a tool, it's going to help us quite a lot. But you know, the low end is always gonna kill. But that happened in the industry all the time. You know, we used to do roto and charge a fortune and move to India, you know, to do roto there. And it's just.
What are your thoughts on the incorporating AI into like your live action workflow? Do you think it will be incorporated?
I think we'll end up using it when it gets. I mean, it's moving so fast, isn't it? So it's hard to know where it's going to go. But I think, you know, rather than using stock for certain shots, you'll use AI for definite. And it's probably going to help in, you know, there's all these situations now where you can film in these virtual studios where it's just LED screens. That's going to, you know, AI is going to be running all those at some point, I would have thought.
Definitely.
I mean, and then it's so versatile. I mean, you can do anything with it, can't you? And there's that whole thing with the strike, wasn't there? The writer strike and the actor strike about using their likeness.
That's nuts, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, it totally makes sense though. Like, you know, if you can copyright a logo or a typeface or whatever, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to copyright your likeness so that it can't be applied via UI to whatever. But obviously, it leads into like deep fakes and all that kind of side of things, which is pretty worrying.
Yeah. No, I just worry when it's, you know, at some point it's going to start spitting out scripts that are amazing.
Yeah.
And people aren't going to be able to tell the difference between what's done by, you know, the general public, I feel like, won't care about where it comes from and will just watch it. And I feel like the way that we make films now will become this, like, you know, how vinyl is compared to MP3s and Spotify, whatever. It will become like that. You'll want the purists, you want a real thing. But then most of the stuff is on, you know, most of the stuff on Netflix is half its crap anyway, right? So who cares?
I was just thinking that, like with children's television, like I say Coco Melon, because it's fucking bottom of the barrel shit. But man, they make billions. Like, you know, it gets billions of hits. Like they make hundreds of millions of pounds. Coco Melon, it's dog shit. But it's fucking massive. Like seriously, their YouTube channel has like 100 billion hits or something around that. And there's, you know, TV shows, there's dolls. So, you know, it's a couple of £100 million profit per year, give or take. But that's where UI would be like, you know what? No one cares. We're just going to, it's bottom of the barrel anyway. So we're going to increase our profits. We'll just shit out a script and shit out some animation. I mean, it's basically asset flipping anyway. So they can't really go that much lower. But that's where it's that's Okay,
yeah, but it's like you said, there's no point being scared about it because it's here now, isn't it? So,
it's how to differentiate yourself. How do you stand out from a crowd? Like, what can you bring that AI can't do, I guess? By the way, I'm not real. This is a render.
Rob, Studio Primary just said, Rob, I have the Black Day to Freedom book and the DVD.
Ask him if it's still. Well, I can ask. Does it still? Does the binding still hold the pages together? Because we had a big problem with all the pages falling out after we had it printed.
Can I get a refund?
Hundreds of those things. Hey?
Can you get?
I had hundreds of those things, and they all got lost in like this. I had them in somebody's basement, and the basement got flooded, and all the books got lost.
Oh fuck!
So I've only got one. I've literally only got one, and I used to have like when you go to a printer's and you get it all printed out flat before it gets chopped up and I used to have all the pages like that as well, and I haven't even got those anymore because those got destroyed.
Man, that would make a really cool just frame it on a wall, wouldn't it?
I was working on a second book. Were you in that book, James?
Which one?
Black Age Freedom.
I don't think so.
Jason Arbor was in it. Remember Jason from Pixel?
Yeah,
Stallions. He contributed some stuff to it. But I was actually going to make a second one, and I had like 5 people donate or create some images for it, which have never been released, and I should dig them out because they're probably pretty relevant to what's going on in this crazy world right now. To be honest,
they Studio Primary just said it's just about holding up.
There you go. Sorry, dude.
So...
no refunds.
No refunds. Yeah. Cool, guys.
I mean, there can't be many of those around.
Yeah, man. Maybe
collector's item.
Yeah, maybe worth a fortune.
I've got one. I'm gonna try selling it on eBay when I'm really broke.
Guys, you could sell it on eBay, but then republish it like Designers Republic style. Do like a what's it called?
Well, I'm the only person who's got all those files. I should think about reprinting that, repackaging it.
Yeah, you should redo it. Yeah, you should do it. People would buy me.
Ideas into my head now.
Yeah. Never too late,
Yeah.
Just bring back.
How many people are watching this?
Don't really shout on this stream because
does it exist online afterwards?
Yeah. They stay online. I'll send you the link
forever.
You're gonna be there
seriously
forever.
There's interviews of me and Chris from like off Lisbon. It's like, man, it's crazy. Actually, it's quite interesting. We can look back on it in 20 years and be like, shit, we were so young.
It's kind of nice though.
Man, it didn't change much.
It's different.
It didn't change much,
Yeah.
The Chinese blood, man.
Yeah, that is the young fountain.
Yellow don't mellow.
It never get old, Guys, we're just hitting 1 hour. So let's ask Rob a last few questions. James, do you want to pop one question?
Do you want to do the fine? Oh wait, well, actually no. I want to ask like from your experiences, like if you could give yourself, like a piece of advice in advance before you went on your crazy journey, what would it be?
If I could give myself a piece of advice before,
so obviously with experience and hindsight, what advice would you give your younger self?
Keep trying to make the thing that you wanted to make to begin with, and don't get distracted by the other work, the work that pays the bills. You've got to stay focused on the thing that you set out to make.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people set out to do something or say something and make something they really want to make, and then they're getting distracted by the money and whatever else, doing commercial projects.
I feel like
I think I got distracted for a long time. Yeah. That's what I would say to myself, yeah.
Is Studio Primary asking, Rob, quick question. Your favorite sound design score?
On my films?
Oh, let's do both. Let's do your films and
your films and
any film.
Oh, well, my film, the favorite sound design would be a film called Lexus Lap the Planet, which was a film I made with a sound designer called Neil Johnson. And the sound design is amazing on that. But my favorite score on one of my pieces of work would be the Porsche film for Cayenne, I think. My favorite score on a film that I like. Ooh.
Quite tricky.
Yeah, I have three that come. Oh no, there's so many, dude.
Sometimes it depends what mood you're in.
Yeah, it depends. There's a Russian film called Loveless, which has an amazing soundtrack. Amazing, Loveless. That's really good. And then I love the work of Thomas Newman. So I would say either Shawshank Redemption or Road to Perdition.
Yeah, they're amazing.
And then I think John Williams' score for E.T. is like amazing. It's amazing. It's as good as the film. Yeah. I mean, I always say that film is 50% picture and 50% sound. You can totally change the picture by what sound you put on it.
Definitely.
But that's where those three films are firing on all cylinders for me. And the soundtrack to Sicario, Johan Johansson, that's amazing as well.
I love the ET soundtrack just because of that era and the time we were growing up as well. Like it feels like just burnt into your soul.
Nostalgic. Yeah.
So
it just says childhood. That and the soundtrack to A New Hope for me. And Close Encounters of the Third Kind. All that early John Williams stuff.
So good.
Oh no, and I see, and this is me going again, and I really like the soundtrack to Tenet. The dude who made Tenet, and he did. Yeah, I can't remember what his name is, but he's amazing. And he did. I think the
soundtrack was better than the film. Like I thought the film was, it's basically.
I liked it when I watched it, but yeah, So my problem with Tenet is at the end you've got the red and the blue teams, and they're kind of in two different time zones, and one's going backwards and one's going forwards. Who are they fighting?
Yeah, there's a lot of question marks.
There's no shots of who they're fighting.
But even on a more basic level than that, it feels like it's just Chris Nolan trying to go, look, I'm really clever, and that's it.
Yeah, no, he is. I did like it. I enjoyed it when I watched it. But yeah, when you go, and I've watched it 2 or 3 times, and it's still kind of good, but it does. There are massive holes in there. But you just kind of got to go with it, I think. But I know what you mean.
So let's ask Rob the last question. We ask every show, Rob. So imagine you are like Rob is in the Tinder, but like as a company, how would you sell? Imagine it's like a Tinder for get clients, how would you sell yourself on the Tinder,
What would your profile say?
On Tinder.
Yeah. But it's a Tinder to get clients,
Young and bubbly.
It's a Tinder.
A Tinder for clients. How would I sell myself?
Tinder for clients. How to get more jobs,
Gun for hire. I do that. Emotive storyteller.
Emotive storyteller.
Yeah,
you could be an emotive gun for hire.
Emotive, yeah. Emo gun for hire.
Emo gun for hire. Cool.
That's good. Rob, thank you so much, man. It's really nice to have you on the show. It's
really nice.
It's great to just touch base, a little bit of the past and just bring that back to life. It's been a pleasure to have you, man.
No, it's been good to see you guys. It was so nice to run into you the other night. And we had that crazy club, right? Remember that crazy club in the basement?
Yeah, we went. Yeah, that was quite good.
I don't even want to know, man.
No, you don't need to know, James. You don't need to know, James.
The club stays in the club.
It stays.
No, it was crazy. It was fun.
We have the next show. We're gonna announce tomorrow, but we have the next show the live show on 93 Feet East in Brick Lane. It's going to be on 5th of December. It's just in about 2 weeks. We have Burton and State come from the US. We're going to announce tomorrow, but it's going to be on the 5th. So just put on the calendar. Rob, please come down. It'd be nice to see you.
I want to be there.
No pressure.
We're going to announce tomorrow. But man, thanks so much to be in the show. It's been a massive pleasure to,
huge thanks.
Thank you. Thanks for remembering me.
No. Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
We'll never forget you, man. We'll never forget you.
We don't forget you. So next live show is 5th of December, and the next online show, YouTube, is going to be on 19th of December. It's going to be the last one for the year. So we hope to see everyone there. And please, thanks so much, Rob. We see you on the 5th as well, man.
Thank you.
See you there, guys. Cheers, man.
See you later. See ya.
Bye.
I need to see how we stop the